Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Let Me In. And this movie is directed by Matt Reeves, and this was his film after Cloverfield, I believe. And it's a remake of Let the Right One In, a 2008 vampire movie, which I really loved. And this movie was pretty much not necessarily shot for shot remake, but has the exact same beats as the first. And I thought it was absolutely atrocious, and I hated just about everything about it. And the 2000s and early 2010s were like peak remake after remake after remake and just unoriginal ideas and just trying to cash in on the name. And this movie is definitely one of the worst ones, in my opinion, and I got literally nothing out of it other than some newfound appreciation for the original. And Matt Reeves, I don't hate Matt Reeves even after watching this movie. Like, Cloverfield is a good movie. I haven't seen his Apes movies yet. The Batman, I thought, was pretty good. And I've seen it twice now and liked it a bit more the second time. And this one, I just was confused as to like every choice that it was making. Stupid horror movie tricks, and it just treats itself in a way too seriously and trying to be scary when in reality, when I think of the original, that's not really what it was. And everything that this movie is doing is just exactly what you would expect in a bad way. Like, I was imagining how this movie would be while watching the original Let the Right One In. Let's just imagine this exact same thing, but it was a remake and Americanized and like in a bad way, and this is what you get. And it was somehow even worse than I was expecting. Sorry if that was a bit confusing, but the very first thing that stood out to me as to whether or not this was going to be a good movie or not was the music. While listening to the music, I was like, oh God, no. Nope. This is not good music. It's taken away from the atmosphere. It was bland, generic, and did nothing to make itself stand out in this entire genre, like of horror movies, vampire movies, etc., 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 and really overpresent and in scenes that did not need it at all. And while watching this movie, the movie tries to recreate scenes from the original multiple times, but it just misunderstands what made those scenes in the original work so well. It's like, okay, in the scene where we get the introduction to Abby, is her name in this movie, the vampire. In the original, her name was Eli, but Abby, in the first scene that we get with the two main leads, where she says, we can't be friends because it's never going to work out or whatever. In the original, it's supposed to be like, oh, it's kind of sad and not great. But in this movie, the interpretation is like, okay, that's not going to work out. And then she walks away, like in the original. But for some reason, the main character, Owen, this time around, is like, okay, fine. Whoever said I wanted to be your friend? I was like, you're making the main character way more unlikable and just impossible to relate to. Whereas in the original, it was like, oh, it's kind of sad, and there's always like a deep sadness surrounding the film, and that's ultimately what it kind of is. Like, it kind of somber, kind of not really always trying to be scary. And when it's trying to be scary, it's actually very effective because of how it's presented visually, and it's all tone and atmosphere, and not a whole lot of dialogue, but in this movie, they don't shut up. It's all about the dialogue, and none of it's compelling or good. And also, there's just way too many close shots in this movie. Like, I really could not get behind the look of the movie. I was like, just give me a wide shot. I can't see the location other than like a couple moments. Like, I can't remember any wide shots in the dialogue scenes in this movie. Like, there's so few and far between, and every time we get a close shot or medium shot or however things are framed, it just feels completely unmotivated. And I just didn't feel as though it was a choice that helped the film. It always felt like it was getting in the way of the film. And unlike the original, there's no subtlety to this film at all. Like, there's nothing to interpret. Characters just explain everything to you. Like, they're just explaining everything to the audience, almost as if they're the narrators of the film. I'm like, this isn't what this movie should be. Why are you doing this? And they all have, and every character in this movie just felt like a walking cliche, and there's nothing interesting about them. And the mom, she was kind of annoying, and the dad character, you don't even see him, but he was just annoying even when he was just on the phone. I was like, just stop talking. I don't care about what you have to say. The acting in this movie was pretty bad and also kind of funny at times. Like the bully characters, not so much of anything how they were in the original. Like, they weren't over present and they weren't like a big focus in the original. But in this movie, they have much more screen time, or at least more of a focus on them than they did in the previous one. I felt as though that was a big mistake because I just felt as though, okay, they're just characters that just like randomly show up in the original and they're like a problem, but they're not taking away from the story or characters or anything. But in this movie, they feel almost as though they're like the main driving force of the movie in a sense, which I found to be kind of weird. And also, the dialogue was also over the top during the bully scenes, and it was just showing you way too much to where it became almost comical. And this movie just never once felt as though anything that it was doing was motivated in a way that was clear. And sure, there are changes. It's not a exact shot-for-shot remake necessarily. There are some changes, but even when we do get changes, they're not changes that are better. They're not things that make the film stand out and make you want to see it again. They're just like, why are we doing this? It's just more confused, and there are certain things that they just show for no reason. And in the original, I found it kind of interesting that some things took place off screen, but in this movie, they just don't really do that. And also, characters are underdeveloped when certain things happened. It feels like, okay, why is this happening now? It just feels like it doesn't need to be there. Like, I can't even give an example because if I were, I would start spoiling the movie, which I don't want to do. And the two main leads have zero chemistry, which is a huge problem because that's a big part about the movie is their relationship. And since they have no chemistry and they have to, I guess, try, it's just embarrassing to watch. And even the vampire attacks in this movie, which aren't many, but still, they stood out in the original. But in this movie, they're surprisingly funny. Like the physics of how Abby gets on a victim and how she's attacking them, way too goofy for this kind of tone in movie of what they're trying to do. I have no idea what they were trying to do there. It just didn't work. I also didn't really care about the relationship dynamics in this movie. Everything just felt forced and done much better in the original film. I know I consistently talk about the original, but it's impossible not to. It's a remake. The only way I could not mention the original is if I had never seen the original. And if I were to just judge this movie as a standalone film, I would say, okay, that was just like a bad vampire movie that was kind of funny at points. But the blueprint is there, and you at times kind of made it feel like a shot-for-shot remake. Well, not exactly, but like just remaking certain scenes and maybe just reinterpreting them. I don't think you understood the original very well, or you just misinterpreted it, or I don't know what happened. But anything this movie did, it was not for the better. There are plenty of movies out there where they try to remake something in hopes that it'll be better, and more often than not, they did remake it, but it wasn't a better movie because of it. And I think the only movie that I've seen where I haven't seen the original but was a remake and I actually really loved would be The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Really love that movie. One of my favorite David Fincher movies, and would highly recommend you check that movie out. But this movie was just terrible. I got like nothing but newfound appreciation for the original. The special effects look bad in this movie. They were kind of distracting in the original, but this was just something else. The vampire look that they gave Abby in this movie was funny. I just felt as though it was a big mistake. Luckily, they don't show it too much, but when they show it, it's comical to me. And one huge mystery that's kind of attached to this movie for me is that this movie has basically the same runtime as the original, but feels much longer. It was very boring to watch, and the only parts where I was entertained was just the really funny parts where it wasn't even trying to be funny. Everything else was just unbelievably boring and slow. I also found it kind of funny that the bully's name was Kenny, because I kept thinking of South Park. It's like, oh my god, they killed Kenny! That was kind of funny to me. I also wasn't scared by anything in this movie, mostly because it was ruined by the terrible music, the lack of build-up, and also just the pacing. Like, things either happen way too fast or it just dragged out to the point where I was like, okay, I don't really care anymore because I'm not engaged with the characters or anything. Like, even just from the basic visuals, I'm not getting anything out of this movie. Like, just show me something cool. And the movie does try at certain points, but unfortunately, it's just all for nothing. And this movie almost had an improvement over the original in the third act, but I don't know. Then they just like screwed it up and immediately ruined it. And you might be wondering, okay, is there anything that I liked? No. There was nothing that I liked about this movie. Terrible waste of time. Never going to watch this movie again. I'll just watch Let the Right One In. That's a great movie. I love that movie. So this sucked. Terrible movie. Don't watch it. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Let Me In a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of Let Me In and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Thunderbolts. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.